Economic Development Committee to order, please. Roll call, Maria?
Sure. Sherry Boye,
Yes.
James Ellis,
Here.
Stephen Ehrman is absent. Madeline Fleury,
Here.
Archie McKee,
Here.
Daniel Mills,
Here.
Nate Manette is absent. Also present, Jeremy Evans, Maria Bourgeois, and Paul Ellis.
Very good. Agenda was sent by email. Is there any additions, corrections, deletions? If so, I'll entertain a motion for any one of the three. If not, we'll accept a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Madeline, second.
Second.
Archie? All in favor of accepting the agenda as printed, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Public comment? Public comment? Anyone? Okay, you all received a copy of the meeting minutes of July 12th, 2023. And if, I'm sure you've had a chance to read them. I'll accept a motion to approve. And then if there's any changes, deletions, we can do that during the discussion. Motion to approve? By Dan Mills, second?
I'll second.
Second by Madeline. Are there any changes or additions, deletions to the previous meeting minutes of July 12th, 23? Please signify, let us know what that is. If not, we'll vote to approve. All those in favor of approving the minutes of the previous meeting, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Committee reports, is there any need to go over the committee reports again, since we heard them in the IDA meeting? If not, we'll assume that there is no further additional reports to be made by each of the standing committees. Although I think I really should appoint, for the record, Dan Mills to the Governance Committee and also to the Audit and Finance Committee. Very good. Treasurer's report. Paul.
Pretty much status quo. As I mentioned about the IDA being in a situation where it'll be turning a profit, so to speak, this year. The EDC, its main revenue source is interest income that we earn. In addition to that, we have administrative fee income that we have. And my comments are more in terms of the broad outlook for the budget. And one of the things that I've been very focused on is, how do we make it sustainable? And when I say sustainable, every village budget is never sustainable. Something comes up, an increase in taxes, a windfall of money. You always get through. You always manage to have things work out, and that's the case here. Things will always progress. It might involve some additional revenue sources, and we're looking at partnering with an entity now that can generate maybe $20,000 to $30,000 in income for us. One of the grants that we're administering in Tupper Lake, I think it's either 50 or 60,000 in income that we could be deriving. But those are one and done, and we get them. If the grants continue to come along, which they typically will. We will always have a source of administrative fees that we're collecting from state grants. So we reached out to one entity that, it's kind of a new undertaking. It still meets our mission statement where we can generate some additional income. The ultimate solution is growing our loan portfolio and generating more interest income to be able to do that. And Jeremy and I, and when Russ was here, we did have a phone call with Rural Development. They have a loan program where they basically will loan us funds at 1%. I think, is it 3 years or 5 years? They just interest only, where we can turn around and loan that money at whatever interest rate, we want to do. So obviously, if our current rate is, let's say 7%, we're making a 6% return. And so, the ultimate goal is to increase the loan portfolio. That's something that won't happen overnight, just some, just regular routine growth over years.
We probably can't take advantage of that money and then invest in treasury.
You can't triage it.
No. And that's a no-no. Can't do that. It doesn't mean you still have to make and invest the money, because we're given the charge to, that's what we're supposed to do in the best interest of the organization. But we can't just sit idle on the money. It has to be put out into making loans to businesses.
Good. Well, that takes basically one of my long-standing requests about setting up an entrepreneurship portfolio, just for small loans.
Mhm.
And I think wasn't this part of the old Farmers Home package years ago? To
That I don't know.
rural development groups?
I don't know.
That sounds right, FHA, they used to go by.
Yeah, I think FHA had one just for the business side of the house. I know that they did a lot of,
How many years ago was that?
I'm sorry?
Nothing. I'm just kidding, just harassing you. I can't help it.
No, it's okay, I'm harassable. So that's it, good, I'm glad, and you explained all that to us in an email, one of our email backups, this particular group. So, thank you. Now, when is this announced, the end of the year?
What's that?
We need to apply
But,
first.
yeah, so then, are we talking about applying here, or are you just gonna do that? You don't have to have board approval to apply for that, do you?
No, we'd come, because you have to know all the implications and the commitments that we're making, so
Because
you would
you're-
need board approval.
Well, wait a minute, I've seen this before, so I'm saying at this particular point, do you have to record for the record that the board is approving our application?
Not right now, no, we'd come with a resolution.
Yeah, okay, very good. Thank you. Now on to the
So
treasurer's report. Excuse me.
I was just gonna say, has that information been passed out to everybody?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I may have
All
read
right.
something, I'm reading stuff.
I'm
left
sure
and
it's
right all
been,
the time.
I'm sure it's been brought up in passing at loan committees.
Yeah, I mean, I heard it, I think we talked about it briefly at the finance and audit, but.
The other thing
but
is,
nothing
the railroad is a
Okay.
not-for-profit organization, so I'm probably reading it from the railroads. I'm on the railroad board too. so.
Okay.
I guess my comment, I certainly wasn't trying to present it, I'm just trying to let the board know that we are thinking about
Yeah,
No,
alternatives
and we
that
certainly encourage
we
it.
can,
That's
start looking
Yeah.
at going forward.
I'm sure I speak.
Wasn't trying to propose
Yeah,
that we're
no,
doing it
but
right
I'm sure I
now.
speak for the board with saying, go for it. We encourage it, So, thank you. Let's move on
I have a
to,
question.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
What are other service fees? 13.5. I know it's better than last year at this time,
In the
but I'm just
treasurer's
still
report?
curious. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
still in the treasurer's report, right?
yeah, well,
Okay.
I'm saying that's where you're asking from.
Mhm.
I'd have to go in and actually look at what we're putting in there specifically. It could be, I'm not gonna guess, I'd have to actually go in and see what that is. I don't know if we're specifically trying to track one thing versus another in there.
Right, and
Uh,
if it was something specific, I'm assuming you'd have a line item for that.
If it was a reoccurring thing,
Right.
we would just have a line item, but,
Right.
yeah.
So
And then,
I wrote that down,
You'll write,
okay.
we'll get that out to the whole board.
and then I just
Yeah,
had a
that'd be
question
fine.
about the office rent. It's increased, I can't remember, I missed a meeting. So, It's what, 13? Or no, not 13. But anyway, it's more. Is that because we moved or rent went up?
Where are you looking?
Yeah, give us a line, give us a line number.
Where's it?
5147.
Thank you.
What is it?
5147.
So that office rent right there reflects the rent at the Cary.
Because we increased square footage.
Right.
Okay.
That doesn't reflect our Malone office, that reflects
Right.
Saranac Lake.
I was just
Well,
curious.
then
if
we
it
got the
was-
Tupper Lake one too, though, right?
But that wouldn't have been part of the original budget,
Oh, I see, okay.
right? And we just
Just looking
only
at the
made, I
budget.
think we made 1.5 payments
This
on
is the
that,
one
so
in
it
Tupper
would
there.
show,
Oh.
right?
Yeah, so the bulk of that amount to date is
Okay.
Saranac Lake.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Good. Questions?
I-
Go ahead, madam.
Oh, okay. I have a question on the loan receivables. 1505.
What line item?
1505.
I don't know.
This is on the statement of financial position.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, statement of financial position.
Find it.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
The amount there and the amount on the loan report don't seem to line up. I'm
Okay,
just
so-
curious why.
All right, so, one thing, one item was, and again, this is, and it has been corrected, Happy Camping's final, payment to them. Russ didn't get updated on that sheet, before it came to you on the loan report. He has since fixed it and it's now correct for Happy Camping.
Okay, what was,
So, but
what was
that-
the issue with Happy Camping?
But Russ has been gone before this report, right?
Right.
Okay.
And so Russ developed the loan report and it's linked to a whole massive multi-tab spreadsheet. I cannot just go in there and monkey with it because I don't understand all the formulas.
Mm.
So I have reached out to Russ last week and he updated the spreadsheet, the tracking spreadsheet, which transfers over into this spreadsheet. So Happy Camping is now correct on the loan sheet and it does match what's in the QuickBooks
Oh,
report.
That was,
But in
So
addition
that
to,
is wrong, but that is right. The financial report is correct and the loan
Right.
report is
this just
incorrect.
hadn't been updated, but
Okay.
that changed. But I also want to point out is that in order for you to have really good year-to-year comparisons on a month-to-month basis, my cutoff is always the end of the month. So if this tracking spreadsheet, if Maria, because we have a lot of payments that come in on the first of the month. So if this sheet, when Maria records the payments, when they hit the checking account, updates the tracking sheet, that information is going to flow into this. So there will be differences at time because this reflects
this is live, so to speak.
live pretty much. Whereas my financial statement is always going to be month end.
But it was like 60,000, that's why it was
Right.
a substantial amount.
Right,
So I
and
mean,
the
it's
60
not
and
like,
the 60,000
Yeah.
is exactly what we paid Happy Camping.
And why is it, I get S, D, what's P? Paid? S, satisfied, D,
Oh,
delinquent?
D?
No,
Is delinquent, P.
Oh, P.
I don't know, I was just curious
know.
why it was different.
Must
It
be a
was,
mistake.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
all right. I just didn't know if there was something I was
Oh, it says
missing.
pending, P is pending, but it's not, it's satisfactory.
All right. Thank you.
okay, thanks.
Another one to,
Take it back, let's ask too many questions, what the heck?
I want to see what's next.
All right.
Harassing.
I
Any
gotta,
further questions?
yes,
Yes, Arch.
I'm back on page 1 of activities year-to-year comparison under line 4520, state grants and subsidies. $375,000 this year, 0. last year. What did we do so good this year?
Well, the CARES Act money probably came in, where it is looking. What line number, Archie?
4520.
Yeah, that is more than likely CARES Act money. So one of the things that has been off in this organization for decades probably is the recording of grants that simply pass through our agency, where we don't make any money off of it. If we earn a fee, administrative fee, that's recognized under operating income. You'll notice that this is under a non-operating because we're not making any money. It flows through us to a grant recipient, okay? That's on the revenue side. On the expenditure side, we should see the same dollar amount, okay? The problem is that the lack of understanding, lack of the person's understanding prior to Rachel is when checks got written sometimes, you're supposed to immediately recognize it as a revenue, even though we haven't gotten the money from the state yet. So we're still working on trying to make sure that that process takes place. Because we might end up waiting, we might wait 2 months, we might wait 2 years for our money from the state, depending upon what the particulars are of the grant. But the net effect, if everything was done right, would be you'd have, let's say, $100,000 in non-operating revenue and $100,000 in non-operating expenses. They should wash out.
Okay.
And because it hasn't been done right in the past, if you've looked at financials in the past and you looked at the bottom line and you saw the negative numbers, part of it was that wasn't being properly recorded. We weren't properly recording when the check was written. We weren't immediately recognizing it as a revenue, and it was only rectified by the auditor at the end of the year. So we made a lot of progress last year when we closed out the year. We worked very closely with the auditor, and it's just one of those things that's just, it's a moving item all the time because we've got multiple grants. And so we're just getting better with the process.
Very good.
It might be nice for us if this were, like, say, for instance, more than one grant, if it could be broken down into what grants it were, or if this was a single grant, just to make a notation as to what grant it was.
Very good. Further questions? There being none, we'll go ahead and vote on the treasurer's report. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Need a motion? We didn't get a motion for that one.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Archie, second by Sherry. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Guys have it. Jeremy, CEO report.
Thanks, Jim. I've got 2 items, and these I actually do have printouts for everybody.
Information.
So take one to pass down.
Thank you, Member.
So the first thing I just wanted, there's two items I wanted to just highlight. And this one, Kelly is going to be here next month to talk more about our Where the Wilderness Works campaign. But I've mentioned, I think in the board meeting, maybe she mentioned it last month and also by email, the Frontier Fact campaign that we are currently doing. I hope everyone gets these emails. Has everyone seen these? No, Dan, you haven't seen them? Archie, do you ever see these sometimes?
I
Sometimes.
see them on Facebook, but I don't get them on
You're
email.
supposed to get them by email, but, oftentimes they can
Go to
go to
spam. Have
spam,
to release
and then
them.
you have to release it. So that's why I wanted to just bring this one to your attention. Several weeks ago, this is something we're doing every Friday through the summer with different topics. Several weeks ago, we did a Frontier Fact email about our biotech industry, and that's one of our identified priority industries. This is the email, so take a look at it if you haven't seen it. We just try to focus on providing a quick snapshot, positive snapshot about the industry or the topic that is the subject of the email.
What's our spread on the
Well,
email?
I was just going to get to that. Thank you for that segue, Jim.
Thank you.
So that I went back to look, and that email went to 19,739 people. Of those, 7,044 opened it and presumably read some or all of it or saw the pretty picture.
See, if I get an email from
I love the pretty pictures.
somebody I don't recognize, I might just delete it.
That's why
Without-
you have such it doesn't, any type of email like this, you're gonna have a big percentage that don't open it.
Right.
But based on what Kelly has shared with me, we're at, 30, probably 40% open rate, which is pretty good.
Which is good, yeah.
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 So 7,000 people opened it. And what that did, and as you can see, we had links to the websites for most of our biotech companies. And that really, and also our own website. So what's interesting, and again, like this doesn't seem like a lot, but when you consider the small size of our community and
No,
where
we don't have what you have there. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I
you do not.
apologize.
This is I just printed the report,
Okay,
which I can share with you, but this is just the email.
all
But
right.
as a result of this email, we had 52 people visit that page on our website. Not only that, 33 people visited the Trudeau Institute website. 31 visited the ASEP PAC website, 29 went to Ampersand Bio, 24 went to Bionique, and then 18 went to our homepage. So we had, between that specific page and our homepage, we had 70 people go to our site. And we're doing this on a weekly basis, and each month it's pretty similar, or each week is pretty similar as far as our impact. But that's not why I wanted to share this. Why I wanted to share it is that as a result of this email, I got an email from Trudeau Institute. The email had been forwarded not to them directly, but someone received our email. I don't even know who it was. Forwarded it to the president of the board of directors for Trudeau Institute. They were really impressed by it and the fact that we focus on biotech as an organization. And as a result of that, I was invited to attend basically a fundraiser hosted by the president of Trudeau Institute to talk about the benefits of the institution on the community locally. For those that know Trudeau, everyone knows that their work in infectious diseases has impacts across the world, especially where tuberculosis is not eradicated. But what they appreciated about what we did and what we're doing is that they wanted me to focus on talking about what Trudeau Institute means to the Tri-Lakes, to
Economic impact,
to the
basically.
Adirondacks, right? The community and economic impact. And so I attended that event and gave a 4 or 5 minute. It was a cheerleading session just for Trudeau and the Adirondacks and Franklin County, but it was. And they invited me to do a tour of the facility, which I've done several times, but I hadn't done it since before the pandemic. So it was good because every time I go, I learn something because I forget. I don't know I can't keep up with what they do.
Oh, yeah.
So it's always good to get a refresher. And also I was happy to be able to represent us and the area and talk to folks about why it's so impactful. I mean, they what I told them is that between them, all of our biotech companies have about 200 jobs in the area.
That's big.
And the numbers change, but anywhere but a biotech job is one of the most efficient as far as creating indirect jobs. And that multiplier is somewhere between 3 and 4. So if we have 200 jobs directly employed by those biotech companies, there's several hundred more, 400 or 500 more at least, that are indirectly created. And the numbers, I put together some numbers for them based on just the Tri-Lakes. There's fewer than, I think, 7,000 jobs in all of the Tri-Lakes, and to know that 10% of them are related to our biotech companies, it's pretty impressive. And so my goal was just to help the folks in attendance at that meeting understand the impact it has. Even though Trudeau, Bionique, Ampersand Bio, they're all out in the woods. You forget they're there sometimes because they're not visible. So the reason I wanted to share that was just because we were able to, it was a good opportunity for us to do something really meaningful for Trudeau Institute. And they really appreciated it. And we're going to continue working together because they would like help on helping our community beyond their worldwide audience. They would like help getting the word out about what they do more locally. And I said we would be happy to help. So that was the one reason, but also just to share that story or experience of how this email that Kelly and I have been working on weekly has had paid some real dividends that you like to see but don't always get. And so I just wanted to share that with everybody. But we're going to continue. I think we have 3 or 4 more weeks of it as far as our weekly Frontier Facts email that goes out on Friday. And then we'll get back to doing our monthly emails that we've been doing. So that was the one item. The second item, pass it all the way around. I wanted to just briefly share with everybody a follow-up. We did this a couple months ago where I shared the results of our first quarter objectives that we had decided on as a staff to focus on. We are now in quarter 3. So I wanted to do 2 things really quick. And in the interest of time, won't spend a lot of time on it, but you now have it, is give you our report on quarter 2 objectives and share with you our quarter 3 objectives, which is what we're working on now. As you can see, and really the way this works is it's very simple: red, yellow, and green. How we doing? At the end of the quarter, that's it. That's where we're at. So quarter 2, for a few different reasons, we gave ourselves some tough assignments and we didn't follow through with all of them. But you pick up and you keep moving along, but I wanted to share it with everybody. And then again, quarter number 3, I don't have a status update for them, but I wanted you to see this isn't everything we're working on, but these are the things that we've really wanted to make sure we felt were the highest priorities for us in this current quarter. I will call your attention to number 7. It's something that Paul, myself, and Maria have been talking about, and Madeline, I hope we can talk a little bit about it at our governance committee meeting, which is some governance and administrative, just best practices and things that we want to be not forgetting about and working on, including perhaps another board retreat. So we'd like to discuss that at the governance committee meeting. So in the interest of time, I'll stop there, but did want to share this with you as a follow-up for quarter 2 and give you a sense of what our priorities have been in this current quarter.
I think it's good for us as a board to realize where we've come from and where we are now. And this is, when I first got on this board, it was Oh, boy. But now you got a room like hell to keep up with yourself, which is good. It's good for us, so.
I just have a question, because
Yeah.
I'm sorry, and thank you, Jeremy, for this, and please extend our thanks to Kelly.
I will.
Number 2, what is BR&E?
Oh, BRNE is is an acronym for Business Retention and Expansion.
Okay.
And it's something that we've been working on, but with some of the changes we've had, that we weren't able to implement it based on our staffing. But we are working, we're still working on that, and that's still on our Q3.
Okay.
Kind of named it different, but it's still on our Q3 list.
Very good.
And that's business retention and expansion is focused on businesses that are here
Already here, yeah.
versus
Oh, yeah.
business attraction, which is bringing people in.
So I think it was in today's paper out in Plattsburgh, there's a biotech place that they're closing.
Sterex,
Yeah, I couldn't remember the name of
Yeah.
it. Is that any chance of any of these organizations?
Well, they
Taking them
do,
on,
they
or
used to be,
I don't-
they were sold several years ago, but ASAP Pack and Sterex were owned by the same
Oh,
people.
oh, really?
And I don't think there's any connection anymore, thank goodness.
Yeah.
But yeah, part of doing a good BR&E program is making sure you kind of keep those, keep track of that kind of stuff and touch base with our different businesses.
Mhm.
And ASAP Pact is on my list for that reason.
Yeah.
Just to do a check-in.
Right.
Very good. Any other questions? If there are none, then we will move on to old business. Hearing none, we'll go on to new business. The 2024 budget, is there anything to add, Paul, to what you
No.
did earlier? Thank you. We are now in resolutions. Accept a motion to approve resolution 2023-24, EDC grant to the IDA. Motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Madeline, second. By Dan. Now, discussion. I think we've had the discussion.
Yeah.
That being the case, then we'll assume no further discussion is needed. And Maria, you can go ahead and call the roll call, please.
Okay, this is for 2023-24. Sherry Boye,
Yes.
James Ellis,
Yes.
Stephen Erman is absent. Madeline Flurry,
Yes.
Archie McKee,
Yes.
Daniel Mills,
Yes.
Nate Manette is absent. Resolution duly adopted.
Thank you, Maria. Now we go on to resolution 2023-25, bank signature authorization. Having had the discussion earlier in the previous meeting, is there anything to add? If we have to add to it, just hold that for a moment. We'll accept a motion to approve 2023-25 bank signature authorization. Motion.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Madeline, second.
Second?
Second is Archie. Anything to add to our discussion?
What is that laugh for?
I can't,
Just because I got to thinking, because of your comment about not having access because my name was on it. I did ask, do you use the online banking? Paul said yes. So they can tell you account numbers when you go in, they can't tell you balances. But my follow-up question is that why you didn't want me on as a signer? Just curious.
Well, no.
But the follow-up is, that's okay. How does that affect the expense report, which I see over there? I can still look at that, approve it. As a board member, I'm not signing checks. I can still do that.
So,
That doesn't take away that.
correct.
Okay,
Every board member, I know we have two, but if every board member wanted to look at that and say, yes, by all means,
okay.
this is just signing checks or.
Okay. I just want to
And it
clarify.
wasn't, I'll be honest with you, when all the other entities I worked at, we always had the mayor and the treasurer of the board as a backup because of the village manager and I, let's say we were traveling, we hit in a car accident, we couldn't sign. I mean, it's that rare type of a situation. And so I had to schedule everybody when I did the signature cards last year. I had to drive up to Chateauguay and then I had to drive over to
Well, you
Tupper
really
Lake.
didn't have to because,
Well-
I work there. I go to Malone all the time. so.
But the point is there's really no need to have everybody on it. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. It's just like an absolute fail-safe if Jeremy and I weren't available. And it's not that there's two signatures required, it's only one. So if something happened to me, Jeremy's my backup. So that's really what it boils down to.
You've related this information before,
Mhm.
and you always seem to mention a vehicle accident or car accident.
Let's see,
Are you a bad driver?
well, he's
Well,
gone
ask Jeremy, I do have a heavy foot.
He's gone against our internal policy. We used to use the get hit by a bus scenario for everything that we do.
We don't have any bus service here in Franklin.
Well, that's true, but they're school buses, right? But what we talk about all the time as staff is we want to make sure we're building things, we're documenting things, setting up procedures so that if any one or all of us get hit by a bus,
Which we now say
the new
abducted by
people
aliens.
can come in and figure it out. But we don't want to be morbid, I don't know what the word is. So we've changed it to being abducted by aliens. So he's supposed to say, if I were abducted by aliens, instead of being in a car accident.
Okay.
There we go.
More training.
Very good. Any further discussion? That's worthwhile. There being none, then I'll assume that we can have Maria do the roll call. Maria, go ahead, please.
Sure, this is 2023-25, Sherry Boye,
No, I have to be.
James Ellis,
Yes.
Stephen Ehrman is absent, Madeline Fleury,
Yes.
Archie McKee,
Yes.
Daniel Mills,
Yes.
Nate Manette is absent. The resolution is duly adopted. And I just want to remind both Madeline and Sherry, I believe, need to leave and we still have one more meeting.
It can go quick.
Oh, I'm good. I made arrangements. But I know you have
I
to
have
leave.
to leave,
so.
Yeah, very good. We'll move on quickly. Executive session, I think we needed one,
Yeah.
or do we, Jeremy?
If the board so chooses, we can have a quick one to discuss pending
Yeah.
litigation
Yes.
and the financial employment history of a particular corporation.
Very good. Therefore, all those in favor of going to the executive session signify by saying aye.
All right.
Gotta have a motion, gotta have a motion.
I'll make a motion to go into executive.
I'll
By
second.
Archie, second by Madeline. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Very good. We're in executive session.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That'd be me.
It's because there's new rollers on these things.
I know, that's
Yeah.
what I.
Well, we gotta
So
go all the way to.
We need to
back home
do
and
a
then go
motion to
Huntsville.
adjourn EDC.
Yeah.
And then.
So moved.
Oh, okay.
Very good. 2 seconds.
It's just
And
your signature card thing is not going to.
Get the first adjournment motion if there was one.
Archie,
Okay,
Yeah.
Archie again?
Dan, yep.
so that was for EDC, we're adjourned.
Yep.